Right now, somewhere above the Persian Gulf, an American F-16 pilot is flying circles in the sky. Not for training, not for a drill. He's up there because 21 miles of the most critical ocean on Earth is still laced with hidden weapons, sitting silently on the seabed, waiting to trigger. And almost nobody is covering this story in depth. Welcome to Aviation History Hub. What you're about to hear is one of the lesser-known military operations currently underway, and it involves aircraft, underwater drones, and minesweeping ships all working together in one of the most complex coordinated efforts in recent naval history. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this channel covers military aviation stories that rarely get the spotlight they deserve. And if you find this kind of content valuable, consider sharing it with someone who'd appreciate it. So here's where we stand. The US and Iran both signed a memorandum of understanding recently. The cameras rolled, diplomats exchanged words. But that agreement means nothing to an Iranian naval mine sitting 30 feet below the surface of the Strait of Hormuz. The mine doesn't read diplomatic documents. It doesn't respond to ceasefire language. It simply waits. And according to some reports and open source analysis, somewhere between 1,000 and 3,000 of these weapons may be sitting on the seabed of the most strategically significant shipping lane in the entire world. 20% of the global daily oil supply passes through this strait. Roughly 160 tankers are currently reported to be trapped inside the Persian Gulf, unable to move freely, waiting for safe passage. This is not a theoretical scenario. Based on available information, this is the situation on the ground right now. Before we go further, here is an important note. This video is strictly for educational and informational purposes. Everything discussed here is drawn from publicly available military reporting, open source intelligence, and verified information. We are not advocating for any political position or military action. The goal, as always, is to understand what appears to be happening from a military and strategic perspective based on what has been reported. Let's go back to where this started. During the recent Iran conflict, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, made a calculated strategic decision. They recognized that the Strait of Hormuz represented significant leverage. If they could credibly threaten global oil flow through that corridor, they could apply enormous economic pressure. So they reportedly deployed multiple mine-laying vessels and began systematically placing naval mines throughout the strait. These are not simple contact weapons. The Sadaf mine and the Maham mine are classified as influence mines. They rest on the seabed and they do not detonate from direct physical contact. Instead, they detect the magnetic signature of a large metal vessel passing overhead and trigger from that signature alone. Modern, passive, extremely difficult to locate. US airstrikes reportedly struck up to 12 Iranian mine-laying boats in a single day at one point. F-15Es, F-35s, A-10s, and Reaper drones all played a role in those strikes. But the mines those vessels had already laid remain in the water, and clearing them is the problem that now has to be solved, not through air power, but through patience, technology, and a level of coordinated effort that deserves far more attention than it is currently receiving. The clearing operation that appears to be underway works in distinct layers, and each layer is as operationally fascinating as it is tactically demanding. At the top of the stack are the F-16 Block 50 and Block 52 fighters conducting what the military refers to as combat air patrol. These aircraft are not performing a ceremonial function. They are the protective framework that makes everything happening below them possible. The F-16CJ variant in particular, the version configured for suppression of enemy air defenses, is positioned to respond if any ground-based radar system is activated in a threatening manner during the mine-clearing window. SEAD aircraft of this type are specifically designed to suppress hostile radar threats if required. Without that air umbrella overhead, slower and less maneuverable assets like surveillance aircraft or minesweeping helicopters would be operating without adequate protection. At medium altitude, the P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft is performing a role that goes well beyond its reputation as a submarine hunter. In this type of operation, it functions as a flying sensor platform conducting multiple missions simultaneously. First, it conducts surface surveillance, tracking small boat movements, monitoring where naval assets are concentrated, watching for any indication that additional mines might be placed. Second, it uses its magnetic anomaly detection equipment to scan the seabed for metallic objects. Every anomaly detected gets passed down to the underwater systems operating below. Third, all of that sensor data flows through Link 16 data links to the fighter aircraft above and to advanced unmanned underwater vehicles below. Reports suggest that aircraft of this type have been observed orbiting in areas near Bandar Abbas and Keshem Island on a persistent basis, indicating that this is a sustained intelligence gathering operation rather than routine patrol activity. On the surface, Avenger-class mine countermeasure ships, reportedly including the USS Chief and the USS Pioneer, are conducting what is genuinely one of the most demanding tasks in modern naval operations. These ships were built in the 1980s with wooden cores wrapped in fiberglass, precisely because a metal hull would trigger the influence mines they are trying to locate and neutralize. They move at deliberately slow speeds, towing sonar arrays and sweep gear through water that contains live weapons. Consider what that means for the crews aboard. They are operating a slow, low-signature vessel through a field of devices specifically engineered to detect and respond to exactly what their ship produces. There is no accelerated method for doing this safely. It requires consistency, precision, and a level of composure that is difficult to overstate. From the air, the MH-53 Sea Dragon, the heaviest helicopter in the U.S. military inventory, drags influence sweep gear across the water surface, generating the magnetic and acoustic signatures of a large vessel in order to trigger influence mines to detonate safely at a distance. The MH-60S Seahawk carries the airborne laser mine detection system for identifying floating and near-surface mines, alongside a mine neutralization system that can deploy a small expendable underwater vehicle called Archerfish to destroy individual mines on command. These airborne platforms work the upper portion of the water column systematically, while surface ships address mines deeper on the seabed. And then there is the technology layer, and this is where the operational picture becomes genuinely impressive. The Knifefish autonomous underwater vehicle is approximately the size and shape of a heavyweight torpedo. Built on the General Dynamics Remus platform, it carries a low-frequency broadband sonar array capable of detecting mines whether they are floating, resting on the seabed, or partially buried in sediment. Its operational concept is straightforward and effective. It enters the minefield, so the crewed ships do not have to. It maps mine locations autonomously and transmits that data back to the host ship waiting safely outside the threat area. Surface systems then move in to address the targets it has identified. The Knifefish is still a relatively new platform and currently operates in a sequential mode rather than as part of a networked swarm. But even at this stage of development, it represents a meaningful capability for this type of mission. Reports also suggest that systems such as the Lamprey, an advanced unmanned underwater vehicle, may play a role in operations of this nature. Platforms in this category are designed with capabilities that include passive monitoring of vessel traffic, extended endurance through innovative recharging methods, and the ability to work in coordination with other unmanned systems. The integration of multiple unmanned platforms alongside crewed ships and aircraft represents a significant evolution in how navies approach mine countermeasure operations. Now here is the broader strategic context that makes this operation more complex than it might appear on the surface. The Memorandum of Understanding that was signed does not automatically neutralize the mines already in the water, and the diplomatic situation remains uncertain. Reports indicate that Iranian officials have publicly described the United States and Israel as a single party in this conflict, a characterization that was not part of the original agreement framework. Fractures within Iranian leadership, particularly among hardline IRGC elements, have been widely reported. Every aircrew and every ship crew operating in this environment is doing so with awareness of that uncertainty. The combat air patrol is not symbolic. It reflects the reality that the political situation remains unresolved, even as the physical clearance operation proceeds. And while attention is focused on the Persian Gulf, North Korea has expanded the authority surrounding nuclear launch decisions, with reports indicating that this authority has now been formally consolidated and written into constitutional frameworks. North Korea has also reportedly opened a new nuclear material production facility. This is consistent with a pattern of strategic signaling, a reminder that, while the world's attention is directed toward one region, other significant developments continue to unfold elsewhere. The clearance of the Strait of Hormuz will not be completed quickly. Analysts and open-source observers suggest it could take months, and that timeline depends heavily on whether full cooperation in identifying mine locations is forthcoming, something that has not been confirmed. Roughly 160 tankers remain in a holding pattern. A significant portion of global oil supply continues to move through constrained and carefully monitored corridors. And the men and women operating the ships, helicopters, aircraft, and unmanned systems involved in this effort are doing so with the understanding that the margins for error in a live minefield are essentially zero. This is the operational story that deserves more attention right now. If this video gave you a clearer picture of what's actually happening, drop a comment below and tell me what you think. How long do you believe this clearance operation will realistically take? Do you think the diplomatic framework will hold? I read every comment, and the discussion on this channel is always worth joining. If you enjoy military aviation content, consider subscribing to Aviation History Hub, and like this video if you found it useful. I'll see you in the next one.